Welcome back to HGC Korea. We have both MVP teams waiting for us, as you just saw on the screen. And this time, it was a lot more hype, I think, before. But Miracle has been struggling so much that I think, even if you said yesterday that Scream results are a little bit more competitive now, but I think still MVP Miracle will top on Miracle. MVP Black will top on Miracle.
Well, we know for sure that one MVP team is going to win, but apart from that...
Spoiler alert, guys!
Okay, so, as you said, in the past, it really was a clash of the titans because MVP Miracle was a top team as well, and it was so exciting to see which team was better because both teams were so good. Overall, MVP Black were dominant over their sister team for an extended amount of time, but right before MVP Miracle and MVP Black rebuilt their rosters in the Gold Club World Championship in China in December of last year, MVP Miracle finally triumphed over their sister team, and they will hopefully take that good memory from them because they have some players left over from that roster. But again, as you said, MVP Miracle looking very weak right now. So today, it should be more about, so how good is MVP Miracle in comparison to MVP Black rather than expecting them to win.
Yeah, just talking about the roster change. After the roster change, I think Black was at least on par, if not better than before. But Miracle, I think they are struggling a lot with having Judy in instead of Honkono. Honkono, of course, the love pair between Dami and Honkono has been always there, but without Honkono, even Dami seems a little bit different. His playstyle was not as aggressive because Honkono was also aggressive, which fits the playstyle. But Judy seemed a little bit off, still adjusting into the team. Maybe that's the thing. Of course, he went into the team saying from the interview that I've always wanted to go into the team house and I've always wanted to practice in this kind of environment. Seems like it's taking a lot of time for him.
And we discussed this in yesterday's match between L5 and MVP Miracle. Well, it was 2 days ago. But essentially, the new MVP Miracle, because remember, they have gone through 2 roster changes since last year.
That's right.
The latest iteration of MVP Miracle really feels like TNL minus Noblesse, because the 3 TNL members, the entire backline, remember, Crazy Moving, Sniper, and Jaehyun, are now all on MVP Miracle. And Dami, in the form that he is in right now, is pretty much comparable, especially when you consider his hero pool, to the 2016 SCSC on Melee Flex. So essentially, the only difference is between Noblesse and Judy not knocking it off. He's a pretty good tank player and has assimilated very well into the team, but he is not Noblesse. He looks up to Noblesse a lot. He wants to be like Noblesse. That's his idol, but there's a reason why Noblesse is his idol. There's a huge gap between them.
That's got Hooligan looking to become like him. Judy, it's the same thing. And also, I think one of the highlights we're going to see today is Rich versus Dami solo lane.
Oh,
that
I'm
will be
so
I would
hyped
just
for that.
If I'm the observer, I would just put that and just leave my hands off, and I think that will be pretty fun. But seems like we're having a little bit slow of production here, and soon we're going into the team intro. And we'll talk a little bit more.
We're having a delay in production because they're going to split the screen, so we can always see the solo lane while seeing the rest of the map. I hope that's what's happening. I don't speak Korean, so I didn't understand what came through the speakers just now.
You cannot lie on cast.
Okay.
Rarely you lied because you speak Korean.
Okay.
I know.
But I really hope that we can see some great 1v1 action. I hope Rich... Well, I sort of hope Rich plays Medivh and sort of don't, because if he plays Medivh, it's going to be great. But Medivh doesn't really stay in the solo lane.
Yeah, the solo lane will be gone for sure. And I'm hyped to see Dami versus Rich, especially because Dami has been putting his hands onto Marthel a lot of the times, and Black, once they actually have that open too, they will take it. Depending on the battleground, it seems like, but oftentimes, regardless of battlegrounds, if you let Rich on that super, not totally broken, but super strong hero, he will punish you.
I know that a lot of people don't like us talking about Rich all the time, but it's really important to highlight how oppressive of a force he is in the solo lane, because this is not some kind of superstar fantasy we're drawing up on the spot. But if you talk to all the teams in HGC Korea, except for a very few of them, they always talk about Rich when I ask any question about MVP Black, they say that the solo lane player that has to go up against Rich is so devoid of confidence, and it usually snowballs so hard that the rest of the map virtually doesn't even matter.
It's
so,
always like that.
Yeah, so the class between Rich and most other players is insane, so that's why we highlight him so much.
Yeah, we
but
saw that
today,
often. Yeah.
where he's going up against Dami.
Yeah.
So it could be different this time.
I think we saw a lot of that happening, especially last time when H82 was up against Rich.
Poor
He was just staying behind the entire time, just soaking up EXP. But also, not to forget, Reset. It's Rich and Reset, the double R's in this team, which Korean commentators have been highlighting. Those dives, and they don't even need a CC. They can put out maximum damage for the kill, but on the other side, looks to be a little bit tough on the series tonight on their hands. MVP Miracle.
And at the bottom of the screen, we see Dami. And Dami, as a player, overall, I would say he's much weaker than his superstar months in 2016 when he was champion of the world alongside the superstar Tempest squad. But still, his mechanical proficiency, that has stayed consistent throughout the year as well. And we saw him face off against Jungha in the solo lane 2 days ago. And Jungha, he's an amazing solo lane player, but Dami was often able to get the better of him. Okay, so he might have had the better lane matchup in many of the drafts simply because MVP Miracle often picked the solo lane later in the draft, but still. So how he performs against Rich today should be really indicative of MVP Miracle's chances in the match as well.
And there's also the Lost Vikings.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay,
Please.
I'm dropping that topic right
Yeah.
now. And the camera is on Dami as we've been talking. I think the solo lane will be very fun to watch in all the games today. And of course, you can't forget about the old TNL members. Jaehyun, C moving. We cannot forget about at all. And Sniper already there. And Battleground in terms, both StarCraft bans again. Easy called. And Black will be taking map number 1. Seems like Miracle won the coin toss. Yes, and they'll get first ban, first pick, and Spider Queen. We saw some ETC action coming out from EU happening too.
And MVP Black are huge Fnatic fanboys, to be honest. So,
and Judy's favorite is ETC, so
both teams will be keeping an eye out for it, especially since Breeze proved that it can be still played, right? So we will have to keep an eye out for that. As you mentioned, something to keep in mind also is that Rich really likes to play Medivh on this map. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's Hero League or in scrims or in broadcast matches. This is one of the maps that he always likes to bust out the Medivh on, so something to think about at that as well. And
yeah, that's the thing. He loves to come in and harass, and if they let Reset on Genji any time in the series, and he will come and punish you, harass you, and take the kill when he can.
I think overall, MVP Miracle could approach this draft in 2 big ways. They could try to focus on helping Dami get the upper hand over Rich in the solo lane and attempt to dismantle MVP Black's usual strategy of snowballing that solo lane, or they could attempt to put Kyocha in a support choke, because so far no one has attempted to really do that against Kyocha, and sometimes Kyocha has not been the most mechanically proficient on some heroes. His hero pool is yet to be truly tested, but the unfortunate problem is that Jaehyun in his current form is not that great of a support player himself, although his Malfurion play recently has been pretty okay.
Which means they have to put their support on top, but that will also cost them big because they'll be losing the solo lane if they put the support on top. So that's a big question for Miracle right now. Which role do they want to prioritize in this draft pick? And so far, Illidan and Tast are banned. There are lots of solo lanes still waiting for Dami.
I think whenever these MVP sister teams face off against each other, the draft always seems to be slightly outside of the meta. They have their own little interpretation of the metagame that's going on inside their team house. So Illidan first ban answered by a Tassadar first ban, this isn't something that you usually see, but we have to keep in mind that whenever these teams face off against each other, they tend to think 3 steps ahead in the draft because they know each other so well.
And 3,000 steps ahead. All right, Genji again. And insta response there.
So it usually boils down to whether you want Ario first or Genji first in the current meta, and Miracle go with the rather standard Genji. Dami plays it well. I'm sure other players can play it well as well. And the Ario answer was to be somewhat expected. But Maltheo, this is more of a rich specialty. Not many teams would be willing to pick it this early in the draft, but MVP Black have no reservations against that. And it will be interesting to see what MVP Miracle's answer to it will be, because we all know that Rich has played this in scrims a million times against them. So what is the answer that MVP Miracle has?
Let's see. Odami can play. Sometimes he brought out Sonya as a hidden card to sustain himself. May not be enough against Rich's Maltheo, but does have to sustain at least. But sometimes Miracle went for the wombo combo, bringing the Leoric top solo. Rarely, but did happen in Spider Queen long time ago. So they have a lot available, and Genji first pick, of course, a solid pick. But they have to bring in something else. The Diablo Malfurion combo seems like they are going towards the wombo combo that I just mentioned.
Definitely, and we saw the Diablo Malfurion work very well. Judy and Jaehyun seem to be in decent sync with each other whenever they had to play a combo between the tank and support like this. So MVP Miracle, still so far, still no surprises, but it's a decent answer to Maltheo, as you have mentioned. And another answer to Maltheo that we have talked about for some amount of time was the Tyrael, of course. But so it will be interesting to see if MVP Miracle decide to take that later in the draft as well. And MVP Black, a lot of options on the table for them right now. A lot of possible bans.
Also, they have to think in mind what Miracle was trying to ban right after, because they will be looking towards banning the ones left. Maybe they're thinking of a double support, maybe not, but if they can get the perfect DPS ban down, that will be perfect. But with Ario, there's just so much pair up. Even if you lose all the DPS, you can still bring in Gul'dan. That wave clear in this map is so important.
It has been a long time since we've seen Gul'dan in Korea, although overall, in virtually all major regions, we haven't seen much Gul'dan either, save Tricked Esports Crosby, which has been playing Gul'dan still against the meta, and he has been doing very well with it, but obviously not an indicator of the patch as a whole. And we see the Li Ming ban coming out from MVP Black, and I think it's a smart answer. Li Ming is always pretty solid against Ario. Crazy Moving's most played hero.
That's right.
In this recent patch is also Li Ming, so it looks to be a decent respect ban. And in response, MVP Miracle, as you said, the double support is definitely on the table for Black, so they decide to take away the more oppressive Uther. If MVP Black decide to go further with the double support idea, they can also take the Rehgar.
Because they banned Testar themselves. It seems like they want to leave it open. And if it's needed, they will bring it at the last pick. If it's not, they don't have to. So this is a very flexible drafting coming out from MVP Black, bringing the Tychus. You need the percent damage against Diablo. You already have one. If you have two, that's so much more damage going on to Diablo. Even if he has a tons of soul, it doesn't matter. It's fixed percent damage.
Yeah, I like this Tychus pickup. Tychus may not be the greatest answer against really huge things such as Cho'Gall, but Diablo he's pretty good against, and a Nubarok, a mid-resident sleeper, but what can you do? Sometimes you have to play to the patch. So pretty decent pickups coming out from MVP Black, and a lot of options for MVP Miracle. Still, they could decide to go for the Zeratul and look for the true wombo combo by putting the Sniper on Genji instead and letting Dami play the Zeratul.
That's right, that's also possible. And Void Prisons, I think, can be pretty effective when you can trap Ario plus one more DPS in there at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Wow, here comes Jaina, the old favorite from Crazy Moving.
Oh, God.
This is another type of wombo combo. Here's Gul'dan!
Yes! We see 2 out of meta picks here. Gul'dan, Jaina. What is this, 2016? So exciting. The Tyrael pick, as we mentioned, Tyrael always a very, very good answer to Malthael, so it was somewhat expected to see that pick up. But Jaina will aid heavily to the wave clear that they sort of lack looking at their other picks. And this is a very exciting draft.
All right, we have Jaina in the house and Gul'dan on the other side. MVP family match. All got everything that you guys wanted here. Let's jump into game number 1. Tomb of the Spider Queen, and find out which team can bring game number 1 for them. In blue, MVP Black. Reset on Taika, Sake on Gul'dan, Kyocha on Ariel, Rich on Martheo, Tist on Anubarak.
And in red, we see MVP Miracle with Judy on Diablo, Dami on Genji, Jaehyun on Malfurion, Crazy moving on his old favorite Jaina, and Sniper on Tyrael. I was curious to see between Tychus and Gul'dan. Sake and Reset can play both heroes, and both are pretty damn decent on both heroes, so I was curious to see which would go to which, and it seems like Sake is back on his Gul'dan. Sake has always been a pretty good mage player, but Tychus, he was the first player in Korea to bring the Tychus into the Korean meta back in spring 2016, so could have went either way.
Yeah, there's some of a change there, but of course, Judy has been playing Diablo somewhat back in his old team too. So bringing his favorite on this battleground seems very reasonable, and they have the pair up, and once they reach 10, they will have the wombo combo for sure. But if it starts to fall apart though.
Oh, close for Dami. Could have been caught out there, but manages to dash out. And the solo lane matchup between Rich and Sniper, well, a lot of people like to knock off Sniper as a not too mechanically proficient player, but I believe he will be able to at least hold his own against Rich. There's a reason why he was a champion in StarCraft 2, remember?
Old glorious StarCraft days. And they are all into Heroes of the Storm now, and looking for changes here, as Gul'dan will provide so much hope and healing. The sustain will be unreal coming out from the back line, and Miracle cannot really fully dive. They can dive in 3, but that will actually leave Malf and Jane up in the back line. Twilight Dream will help for a few seconds, but once Marthel dives in, it's really hard to really keep yourself alive against all the dive available from Black here. Judy's trying to actually use that as a tool to take down Tist.
Nubarak may fall.
They will just trade the tanks in the front line. More damage is coming in.
Pretty decent trade overall, I would say. Though both teams will be pretty okay with how that went. And not too much happening in the early game aside from that tussle right now, but something interesting to mention is that MVP Sniper is deciding to let the wave come all the way to a structure. So ammo is almost running out, as you can see on screen right now. And if this all falls out and bottom outer walls begin to fall down,
yeah, that's true, but so at least he can pick up those gems when it comes nearby those towers.
It's a decision that I can agree with, but it's going to hurt them in the long term, so it will be interesting how MVP Black decide to abuse that once the ammo runs out, I think.
Yeah, that's the time they will go pushing in with a lot more pressure onto the other lanes, and Reset's positioning has been pretty aggressive, but notice the positioning of Tust. He's always off to the side, can always go in for the defense when he is needed for Reset. So these are the kind of promised play, the promised positioning coming out for MVP Black. 19 turning in. Not too close on... Both teams actually need 6 and 5 more to get the full turn in.
And both teams are sitting on an approximately equal amount of gems right now.
Dami actually deciding not to dive in and harass a little bit more. I thought he could actually harass a little bit more, and oftentimes he does on this map. But we see a lot more cautious. I mean, here's a gank attempt onto Rich. He's looking to survive, but
Great
no.
catch.
Great catch. And
this
looks
is
like
going
it's
to be
going to be
two.
1+1. The heals come in.
Oh, the dash. It's there.
Dash is there, and if that's a reset out of there too. Judy gets the toss. Gyocha does the damage. Tist is looking for the burrow down. That's 3 kills going to Miracle from the beginning.
Too late, and they're going to get the turn in now. Huge plays coming out from Judy. Is he coming into his element? Very good pickoff onto Rich, really. And in all fairness, it was a bit of a cocky positioning out there by Rich. But this is something that we have mentioning for a lot of time. Rich, since coming back into professional play, he has been looking even better sometimes in terms of mechanical proficiency, but sometimes he has been getting caught out in very Hero League fashion, and it's something that should be expected when a player is returning to professional play, and MVP Miracle really taking good advantage of that. Right?
Yeah, if you know your sister team that well, we can see the rotation that was fully committed to get the kill. I think it was just meant for 1 kill, but luckily, because MVP Black came in for the defense to actually save Rich there, got 2 kills and also 3.
Judy
diving in again. There's a good pair up with the root reset going very low. Tist coming in with the borrow charge for the save.
Overall, decent defense from MVP Black, not losing any forts, really. And they still have enough for a turn-in, whereas MVP Miracle doesn't. Equal talent tiers as well.
Yeah, that's the... I think the power of cooldown cannot be neglected there. And here comes another gank attempt from Reset. Actually almost saves him, but does not at the end, so it doesn't matter. But Dami's looking for another kill onto Tis. Does he have burrow charge? He does not!
Wow. Pretty decent.
Nice macro rotations and gank attempts coming out. The focus is actually very off from Black right now, and Miracle seems to be having a better day for now into minute 6.
TTSST does not seem too comfortable on the bug, and overall Judy has been playing extremely well, crazy moving, dodging that burrow charge, giving them the edge in the team fight. Also, Reset, Tychus. I don't know, I'm not convinced yet. So far, he has been getting caught out a few times in a row now.
His positioning was not too far off. Okay, it was more of super play coming out from Judy and the teamwork coming out from Jaehyun, the pair up root, the all-in possible damage coming out from the entire team. It's that Miracle has been doing so perfectly. These pair ups, the CC, the teamwork was always there. So Black caught a little bit off guard, but I think they have to be a little bit more careful because Judy, once he dives in, has been getting those picks every time.
Second turn in for MVP Miracle, and this looks to be a different team than the one that played against L5 2 days ago. What did they have since losing to L5? I do not know, but so far, impeccable play coming out from MVP Black's sister team.
Black still needs to soak for 10, and good news, there's cooldown Ariel always on top, soaking in. They will be relieving all the pressure on top lane especially, but that's exactly why Miracle is trying to push all the other lanes and cooldown after some clear is moving down, because when they were away every single time, they were picked, so they want to commit a few more resources and focus on one and at each time.
Something that I think deserves to be mentioned is that the idea of utilizing Anubarak as a solo warrior is not something that was caught on immediately by Korea. It was mostly regarded as a trick of the European meta.
There's Horrify, and the Genji is alone, but he will be safe. And Cocoon was also basically wasted. The focus was also on the other side.
2 heroes down for MVP Black, and MVP Miracle have all of theirs, so still they can afford to be proactive. Going down to Reset with the Dragon Blade.
Odin popped. He's not going all the way in. APOC kind of misses, but great Age is coming down. But he'll be going down anyhow with the Twilight Dream. There's the root coming out and looking for more kills. Reset goes down. There's the Reset.
Genji goes down as well, though. Rich
is looking for the change with the Tormented Soul. Pop Tyrael is down, and he's looking for more kills, not just one.
He hits it.
He hits it, and he's going for the W. Body block. And there's a percent damage coming. I think this will be another kill.
Oh.
Cooldown picks it up with the Fell Flame at the very end. That's a good comeback.
Really nice turnaround from Black, and MVP Miracle seemed to get a good pickoff onto Anubarak and then Tychus, but unfortunately they were a little bit too deep into enemy territory. Genji was low, and overall, this will be a team fight in which MVP Black emerged victorious.
So this is the exact thing that I mentioned before, right after the drafting phase. When they dive in, when Jaina does the wombo combo, she's still in the backline. She cannot dive in with the Diablo, with the Genji, and Rich will be looking towards those kills, just like that, what we just saw in the team fight. And that's a big problem if Rich can do that all the time.
First batch of Web Reapers for MVP Black, but Diablo gets caught out. Horrify, perfect.
Perfectly done, and Judy will be caught. And Cocoon also not over the wall. And seems like this can be enough damage with the Impale coming in right after. And
Nice dash, nice dash.
This didn't even... Oh, look at this solo fight. Sniper actually going against Rich. Is it going to be enough? The sustain is there, and Rich...
Nice.
Goes down.
Solo kill from MVP Sniper. As we said, definitely able to hold his own against Rich.
That's right. And oftentimes we see Rich going in with his confidence, but it cost him so many times.
Confidence is a fickle mistress, I guess.
And there's a pause, guys. Maybe there were some technical issues happening there. Maybe the audio, maybe the keyboard, the mouse, who knows? But we are in the silence zone.
We'll probably get an update soon. And so far, this match has been absolutely delivering. Extremely exciting back and forth match so far.
And Miracle from the beginning, they have been really using their gank attempts, and almost every time it worked against them. But after 10, we just saw that team fight happening. When they had 2 less heroics, they turned that team fight around because Miracle was diving in a little bit too much. And that was well done, and I think it's going to happen a little bit more. Miracle has to be super perfect when they have to land on those wombo combos. Those APOC, it seemed like it was a little bit rushed actually, not really paired up too well with the other heroics at the same time. If it lands onto perfect targets like Rich plus Tychus, all the DPS. And if they can silence at the same time, bringing the silence, APOC, and the Ring of Frost, that will be the big combo. But so far, we did not see that yet. And did you catch that? I didn't really catch it. Seems like there's some technical issue with their devices. They're just checking on it right now. And we'll update you as soon as I get something else on our ears. But so far, as we mentioned, Miracle seems to be a lot better compared to when they were fighting against Miracle or Tempest.
But it says that the issue has been resolved. It was very, very quick, so we should be getting back into the game soon as the final checks are completed. But as you said, some things that MVP Miracle could have done better, could be doing better, but I wanted to highlight how well, MVP, in the meantime, MVP Black.
Ooh.
Some things look to have happened in the meantime.
And someone just respond.
Overall, not too many problems though. Both teams somewhat equal. Both teams have 2 forts down, relatively equal in experience as well, so
it will come in time, of course. And rotational wise, they're starting this camp earlier. They want to get those turned in. They are very close to getting the turned in, so they want to have the pressure early. They just need 3 more. They're going a little bit offensive here, and Sniper jukes out a lot of the skill shots there.
And remember that MVP Miracle has had an extra turn-in, so MVP Black have enough for a turn-in, MVP Miracle do not, and they are now stuck defending this bruiser camp. Sniper goes in to interrupt the channel.
It was usually Dami. I bet you guys, but today he's being super cautious even on his Genji play. He seems like a different man today, and it's been working for the team.
And these kinds of more conservative, more measured Genji plays seems to be the way to go, as seen in the last series that we had with Odak on the Genji. He has been very defensive with his dashes, and I like that, but gets an APOC onto Sake.
On the cooldown is already gone from the beginning of the fight. Cocoon was a little bit late.
Really well done
But here
from
comes
Judy, but
Rich
Judy
from
is going
the
to
other
fall.
side. There's a Tormented Soul against all the members of Miracle. He's on to chase. Crazy Moving does so much damage though now. They're trying to turn this around. Jaina falls, lack of damage. Genji has to back away, and Sniper, does he have? No, he does not, and he drops 20.
Not the best use of Sanctification there from Sniper, and although they really chained their abilities well to get the first pick onto Gul'dan and get the reset onto Genji, what happened after that, not so fortunate for MVP Miracle. MVP Black get the turn in, turn around the experience lead, and overall, they seem to be profiting from MVP Miracle's occasional spats of over-aggression.
The way Black turned the team fight around, when they see the Sanctification drop, that's the moment that Rich see the angle of diving in, and he pops, he presses that R and sustains himself in the back line. Even without cooldown, any damage coming out from cooldown because he was melted before the fight. Rich solo damage was enough to get more kills.
That's to remember that 2 of MVP Black's heroics that can be used to get a pick off are available still. MVP Miracle, knowing that, will have to back off.
There's a Horrify again. Now, if Judy decides to dive in, Judy can be horrified. There's a Detainment Strike, does not get the stun, so Dami will be safe. And Kyocha on the support now has been pretty good in all, especially on Rehgar oftentimes. I think the role swap has been working a little bit better for Black, but Miracle still has a very good chance. I think Judy rushes in a little bit early with that APOC, but if he can kind of bait that out and wait for the perfect timing, could be a lot better for Miracle. But let's just wait until the next team fight happens.
As you said, Judy has been a little bit too single-minded in his approach to playing the main tank. And MVP Black, one of the best reactive teams in the world, they are taking full advantage of his unbridled aggression. Meanwhile, MVP Black have enough for a turn-in again. MVP Miracle does not. And it will be interesting to see if MVP Miracle will be able to delay the turn-ins once again. They have exactly 46.
Like Dami missed Tychus on the bottom. They have enough, but it will take some time as they are controlling over this top one.
It should be funny if they take turns rotating one hero one at a time to the bottom to get that turn in. TTS misses his one though.
Miracle's going slowly in, but here comes Dami. This is the Dami play, and here comes Tychus. Is protected, and there's a Horrify.
Perfect Horrify, really.
And Sanctification is dropped at the perfect timing though. There's a Twilight Dream onto both targets. They are gone, but this is the timing when Rich goes diving in. So much damage by himself, sustains himself too, but he will fall with them. I think that was worth it though, taking out 3 and 4 with Sake on the bottom.
So 3 down on the side of MVP Black, 4 for MVP Miracle. And I believe that this time MVP Miracle's aggression was actually warranted. They did a good job of opening up the team fight, but unfortunately the Ring of Frost, I don't think it really hit anyone, and it was a missed heroic. So had that hit, some things might have been different. But overall, MVP Black lost a lot of gems in that fight. They no longer have enough for a turn-in, so MVP Miracle can't be too angry about how that turned out. On the flip side, Diablo lost all his souls, so this should be problematic in the near future.
I think it's alright when you are against so many % damage on the other side. Of course, cooldown, and there are lots of more damage coming out. But
that's a really good point, yeah.
So it doesn't matter as much, I think, but if you can land on those APOC, this time I think it was a little bit better, but skill shots, of course, as you mentioned, the Ring of Frost, I think it completely missed or just got one at the end. And if they cannot really solve this question of Rich coming in after all the wombo combo is over, and I think he has the potential even in late game when they especially hit 20 after that talent is the quest completed. I don't think we saw it on the screen yet.
Speaking of 20, this was last chance for MVP Miracle to engage before 20, but
he
knowing
fails to dive in, and he will be dead with the last hit of Odin coming in. There's a Horrify. No time for Sanctification.
This was way too predictable on the side of MVP Miracle. MVP Black had to know that MVP Miracle would want to engage right away. Genji.
Even Genji with the perfect CC landing on him could not get away from that.
Way too hasty at the moment that mattered most. And MVP Black will be able to take the boss, then push with the next batch of Web Reavers as well. So huge turn in the game.
And yep, turning it in right after the boss, and they can at least get 1+ more keep. And if they get more picks when they're pushing, they will go for the core. And by knowing MVP Black style, they will go for the core if they even get 1 kill.
So MVP Miracle will have to do their absolute best job in holding the next push. Thankfully for MVP Miracle, all of their heroics will be available, and they will probably hit 20 by the time that MVP Black are close enough to go for multiple keeps or a core. But
look at this aggressive positioning coming out from VSET, but Twist is very low, barely escapes with the burrow charge there.
Pretty nice play by Judy there, and TTSST could have fallen but does not. The rest of MVP Miracle were still always off. Now
the boss comes in, the Web Weavers are coming from behind. Miracle putting off some damage. Seems like it may not be enough to save the keep though. There's a Web Weaver now, along with the boss, onto the keep.
Boss is pretty low, but the Web Reaver is at full health. They're a slight bit away from level
Rich
20.
Going all the way in. He wants to go in. There's a maximum damage. The Ring of Frost is good, but the Horrify connects onto 2, and Ice Block will not save Jaehyun from dying. And Judy and Dami was in the cocoon. Meanwhile, and Boss and the Web Beers still pushing for the core. Seems like game 1.
Can Dami do it? Dragon Blade is available if he gets 5 resets. The dream.
1. No, almost 2, but healed, so no, he will be blown in the air. Seems like MVP Black will core for sure. It was sure even before, but they got more kills, and game 1 going to MVP Black.
Really well played by MVP Black there. The Ring of Frost, the last one was pretty good, but the Horrify was even better, and they had the level 20 advantage as well. So MVP Miracle, the exact point in which the game was essentially lost, I would say, would be the very, very obvious, the very, very predictable charge in from Judy just as when MVP Miracle were about to hit 20. So pretty well played by MVP Black. Perhaps MVP Miracle should have been a bit more careful and deliberate in some of those engages. But overall, I would say that this has been a very promising game for MVP Miracle. They look to be much more closer to MVP Black's power level than we have initially thought.
Yep, and those from the beginning they had the momentum, but after 10, because of positioning of Rich, oftentimes he was hidden sometimes, and he was off the side, and having that pressure against you when you actually try to go in, leaving your teammates behind, and you know he's going to come in, and that was the pressure. You saw at the last push that they were all trying to focus him, and he was getting healed. When he was about to go down, he popped that Tormented Souls, and he could sustain himself when and Boss and the Web Weaver, the entire team of MVP Black was coming in. So they couldn't really focus too much on cooldown at the end. And they did from the beginning of the fight right after 10, but after that, Sake's Horrify, pretty good. The zoning was real.
Speaking of Gordon, I am so happy to see him back in the meta again.
That's right.
Back when he was one of the best mages in the game, he was picked or banned almost every game, and that was a bit too boring to watch. But seeing him make a comeback like this, pretty nice. And MVP Black, alongside the old L5, has always been one of the teams that has been the first to bring in new heroes into the Korean meta. They have been doing this for over a year now, and comeback of Gordon. There are a lot of good Gordon players in Korea that just have not been using him due to him being out of meta, but this could be the start of something new.
I remember when first Gordon came out, Sans was basically the first one to use Gordon and Medivh, bringing out the Super League, and everyone was pointing fingers at him as he's playing Gordon, he's playing Medivh. Now they're like the super hidden card picks that can be played in lots of battlegrounds. I think this meta, of course, with the different patches, there was some changes, but still, coming into play, I wish to see go down a little bit more, especially on this map, because wave clear is so important. That's also why they were able to come back after all those deaths that Miracle had those successful ganks. But because of they got all the pressure off on the top consistently with Godan Ariel, they soaked the SP for 10. They waited for the right moment and they had their game. I think Godan Ariel is still one of the best pair when you're playing on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Gul'dan, very nice battery, very nice wave clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say, the return of Gul'dan to the meta also signifies that Europe is always right when it comes to the meta, because they have been using them before Korea. So again, hail to our European overlords. We bow to your presence.
We're doing this because there seems to be some comms issue in one of the teams, and we are waiting for updates in our
Could
ears.
it be possible that Judy was not talking to his team all along? That would explain some of the engages.
I think his Diablo play was decent.
His mechanical plays on the Diablo were absolutely perfect. Well, but the decision making is probably what you're talking about.
Yeah, decision making, and along with the team, you mean the coordination was not so perfect, and their entire team comp was revolved around it. The wombo combo, they had to land it in multiple heroes every single time, and even when they did, they lacked damage a little bit because Ariel was holding in that hook a lot of those times, and Kyocha was healing from the back line. So Black, in overall, they had the better team comp also, and Miracle could have done a little bit better job with the wombo combo. Sometimes it failed from the beginning. Those ganks were very good actually against Black, and seems to be, but Black, always a team. They have the guts to come back. They know how to come back. We saw it happening.
And overall, I think it's pretty encouraging, heartening to see MVP Miracle place so much of their faith onto Judy, because he was relied in that draft, in that composition, to make all the plays, and he did make them. Sometimes it was a bit premature, and sometimes it led to them losing so many team fights. But overall, you know, a lot of the players on MVP Miracle, all of them are veterans, save Judy, and letting that newbie, that rookie, make all the important decisions, pretty nice to see, really.
Yeah,
and
it's very
Judy
nice
is really stepping up to be that tank player MVP Miracle needs.
I think Judy did a fine job, but if Sniper could really bring up his hero play a little bit more, he was sometimes caught. He was not really with Judy all the times. The sanctification was not really the most perfect sank we've ever seen. And if that landed to counter Rich from coming in, I think that could have been a good answer, but he was, for the entire game, he was waiting for the Sank to drop, and that was the moment Rich went in every single time. But it was very difficult because your team comp was basically half dive, half leaving the team alone. So which way do you go? Do you go for the defensive, offensive? You really have to choose, and Sniper was put onto that test.
I agree with you that Sniper had a very difficult balancing act to do in that composition, and a lot of the fate of MVP Miracle often rested on the success rate of his sanctifications, and as you said, not too great. So overall, Sniper did very well in the solo lane, really. Even got a solo kill onto Rich in the mid-game, so nothing to knock him off for that, but his presence in team fights, a slight bit lacking. Hopefully, Sniper will have to flex on less and less heroes, fewer and fewer heroes in the future, because he has been playing way too many stuff, and it's very difficult to expect that he has a high level of comfort, a high level of proficiency on all those many heroes.
Yeah, that's right. And his hero, of course, without the Genji on Dami this time, was different, but okay with the win of MVP Black. I was confused for a slight second. We are going into Battlefield of